Hello, this is Jane Goodall, and I'm really happy to be asked to speak on this World Localization Day because I think it's such an important movement. I was born 86 years ago on in 1934, and so much has changed since then. I remember when I was nearly 5 going to stay on a farm, a typical British farm in those days, animals grazing in the fields, hens clucking about the farmyard, hay grown to feed the animals in the winter with all those delicious herbs, clover and so forth. And then I remember going shopping in the high street, the small family businesses, the local greengrocers and grocery shops. And there was a spirit of community, of togetherness back then. And gradually, more and more land worldwide has been taken over by agribusiness, by industrial farming, leading to huge areas of land being cleared for monocultures and genetically modified crops. And because food is so often grown in areas that aren't suitable for agriculture, they're irrigated by draining the water. Water is getting increasingly scarce down in the great aquifers. Also polluted because agribusiness uses so much chemical, pesticide, and herbicide, killing the soil, poisoning the rivers as the rain runs off. And of course, there's also the animal industrial farming, the terrible factory farms, they're being called concentration camps for animals. And that too uses huge amounts of land to grow the grain to feed them, and also drains water because it takes a lot of water to change vegetable to animal protein. So in all of these ways, food can be grown more cheaply because of disrespecting nature, people, and animals. And so the big supermarkets are now gradually crowding out, squeezing out the small family farms, squeezing out the small family businesses. And one by one, the high streets are becoming dead as this trend goes on and on. It's desperately important that we take control in our communities of our food, to eat food grown locally as much as possible, to develop that community spirit once again. And fortunately, there are more and more farmers markets now, and allotments are springing up. There's some sorry amazing so there's some amazing urban farms as well, and this is all bringing back the spirit of community, bringing back people's relationship to the land, which has been gradually eroded by the way that we live today. And we, Jane Goodall Institute's been working for years with farmers in Africa around chimpanzee habitat and helping to support small families, farms with permaculture and microcredit loans so people can start their own community environmentally sustainable development projects. And one example, there's over 1,000 small coffee farms around the Gombe area, and they formed a cooperative, and they're doing shade-grown coffee, and the biodiversity is coming back, and the land is rich once again. And about, in 1991, I started our youth program, Roots and Shoots, now in 65 countries. And many groups are planting school organic farms, little farms growing organic food in the school gardens. And they're working on planting trees, they're growing food to donate to the food banks. We've got to alleviate poverty for all this to work, because if you're really poor, You can't afford to buy the slightly more expensive organic food and fair trade food and so on. But we work on that. And these young people give me such hope because they truly are understanding the need to get back and live in harmony with nature. We depend on nature. We try to separate ourselves, and this simply doesn't work. So, localizing our food, localizing a community spirit is something that's tremendously important. A last word that two catastrophes we have brought on ourselves by this disrespecting of the natural world. One is the current pandemic that we're living in. And of course, this is because we've chopped down forests, animals are pushed in contact with people. We've hunted and trafficked wild animals to the Asian meat markets, creating, along with the animals in our factory farms, the domestic animals, perfect environments for a virus or a bacteria to hop over from an animal into a person, which is how COVID-19 began. And it's this same disrespect for the natural world, people and animals, that has led to the climate crisis. So once this pandemic is over, once life starts again, it won't be like before. Perhaps this is the exact time for the localization movement to really take off, because we understand we really must start doing things differently. And respect for the land, respect for nature, growing things organically, being able to eat locally, being able to look forward to the time when strawberries are ripe or plums are ripe, like I used to as a child, not expect to have it on our supermarket shelves anytime we happen to want them. So I hope that this conference goes really well, and I'll certainly be supporting this movement in the weeks, months ahead. Thank you again.